I was driving home from work one rainy evening when a truck ran a red light and slammed into my car. The impact was catastrophic. My vehicle spun across 3 lanes before wrapping around a light pole. When I next opened my eyes, I was in a hospital room, machines beeping around me, tubes running into my arms and nose. A nurse noticed I was awake and immediately called for a doctor. I learned I had been in a coma for 6 weeks. 6 weeks of my life, gone in the blink of an eye. But that wasn't the only shock awaiting me. My friend Miguel visited me the next day, his face drawn with worry, not just about my health. "Paulo, man, I don't know how to tell you this, but Brandy hasn't been acting like a concerned wife while you've been out." "What do you mean?" She's been seeing someone. Some guy named Carter. They've been together almost every day since your accident. And Paulo, she's emptied your joint accounts. She sold your house 2 weeks ago." "She sold our house?" "She can't do that legally without my signature. She forged it, man. And she's been telling everyone you discussed it before the accident. She's filing for divorce as soon as she legally can, but the lawyers told her she needs to wait until you're conscious." I laid there, taking in this information. When I first met Brandy, I thought I had found the perfect woman. She was vivacious, affectionate, and made me feel like I was the most important person in her world. We spent countless nights dreaming about our future together, about building a life, about growing old side by side. I truly believed she was my soulmate. She was the first woman who seemed to adore everything about me unconditionally. And when we were together in those early days, I felt completely accepted and cherished. We got married young, both just 20. My parents raised their eyebrows, but they supported us. They had only one condition, a prenuptial agreement. At the time, it seemed like an unnecessary formality. Brandy didn't even flinch when signing it. The first few years of our marriage were wonderful. Brandy would surprise me with little gifts, leave sweet notes in my lunchbox, and cuddle with me every night before bed. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, things began to change. What started as occasional comments about my career choices became regular criticisms about my income.
"Paulo, do you realize Tom just got another promotion? Meanwhile, you're still at the same position you've been at for 3 years. Don't you have any ambition?"
"We're doing fine, Brandy. We have no debt, our bills are paid, and we even have savings. Not everyone needs to climb the corporate ladder."
Fine isn't good enough. I didn't marry you to be fine. I married you because I thought you'd be successful.
Her words stung, but I tried to brush them off. The criticism continued, though, extending beyond my career to our home, the house my parents had generously given to me before I'd even met Brandy. It was a beautiful 3-bedroom colonial in a nice neighborhood, more than enough space for the 2 of us.
God, I'm embarrassed to invite anyone over. This place looks like we're barely getting by. The Andersons just moved into that new development with the fountains in the front. Why can't we live somewhere like that?
This house is paid for, Brandy. We're living debt-free while our friends are drowning in mortgages. Do you know how lucky we are?
Lucky? You call living in your parents' hand-me-down lucky? Everyone thinks we're poor, Paulo. Is that what you want?
The comments about the house were constant, but not as relentless as her observations about my weight. I'd always been a bit heavy, not obese, but carrying an extra 20 pounds. Brandy never let me forget it.
Are you really going to have dessert? Your pants are already straining at the seams. It's honestly embarrassing to be seen with you sometimes.
I'm just having a small piece, Brandy. I've been good all week.
Good all week? You sound like a child, a fat child.
The irony was that Brandy insisted on eating out 4 or 5 times a week. And when I tried to make healthier choices, she'd mock me for that too.
A salad? Really? What kind of man orders a salad at a steakhouse? Are you trying to embarrass me?
I'm just trying to watch what I eat, like you're always telling me to.
There's watching what you eat, and then there's eating like a rabbit. It's pathetic, Paulo. Order the ribeye like a normal man.
20 years of this slowly eroded my spirit. The young, hopeful man who had fallen in love with Brandy's smile and laughter was gone, replaced by someone who flinched at the sound of his own wife's voice. I dreaded coming home, dreaded dinner time, dreaded weekends, basically any moment when we'd be together. And then life took an unexpected turn. I was driving home from work one rainy evening when a truck ran a red light and slammed into my car. The impact was catastrophic. My vehicle spun across 3 lanes before wrapping around a light pole. When I next opened my eyes, I was in a hospital room. Machines beeping around me, tubes running into my arms and nose. A nurse noticed I was awake and immediately called for a doctor. I learned I had been in a coma for 6 weeks. 6 weeks of my life, gone in the blink of an eye. But that wasn't the only shock awaiting me. My friend Miguel visited me the next day, his face drawn with worry, not just about my health. "Paulo, man, I don't know how to tell you this, but Brandy hasn't been acting like a concerned wife while you've been out." "What do you mean?" She's been seeing someone. Some guy named Carter. They've been together almost every day since your accident. And Paulo, she's emptied your joint accounts. She sold your house 2 weeks ago." "She sold our house?" "She can't do that legally without my signature." "She forged it, man. And she's been telling everyone you discussed it before the accident. She's filing for divorce as soon as she legally can, but the lawyers told her she needs to wait until you're conscious." I laid there, taking in this information. 20 years of marriage, and this was how it ended? I should have been devastated. Instead, I started laughing, quietly at first, then louder, until tears streamed down my face. "Paulo, are you okay? Did I break you with this news?" "Miguel, she can have the divorce. She can sign me up right now. I'll put my name on those papers with a smile on my face." "I don't understand. She's trying to take everything." "She's forgotten something important. Something from 20 years ago." 3 days later, Brandy finally showed up at the hospital. She wasn't alone. A tall man with artificially whitened teeth and expensive clothes stood beside her. Carter, I presumed. She didn't bother with pleasantries.
I'm glad you're finally awake. I need you to sign these.
"Hello to you too, Brandy. 20 years of marriage, and that's your greeting after I nearly died?"
Don't be dramatic. You're fine now. These are divorce papers. I've moved on, Paulo. This is Carter.
"Hey man, no hard feelings, right? These things happen." I looked at the papers, then at Brandy's smug face, then at Carter's practiced smile. Without a word, I signed every page where she had placed a sticky arrow.
Well, that was easier than I expected. I figured you'd cry and beg.
"Why would I? You've done me a favor."
Whatever helps you sleep at night. Enjoy your sad little life alone, Paulo. Carter and I will be enjoying your house money in Puerto Vallarta next month.
"I doubt that very much." Brandy laughed as they left, Carter's arm wrapped possessively around her waist. I laid back on my pillows, closed my eyes, and for the first time in years, I felt peace. 3 months later, we met in court for the final divorce proceedings. Brandy sat across from me, confident and dismissive. Carter was there too, playing with his phone and occasionally whispering in her ear. My lawyer approached the judge with a document. "Mrs. Morales, are you aware of this prenuptial agreement you signed prior to your marriage?"
What? Let me see that.
I watched as the color drained from Brandy's face. She had completely forgotten about the prenup, a document that explicitly stated that any infidelity would void all claims to marital assets. Moreover, it specified that the house from my parents remained solely mine regardless of our marital status. "According to this agreement, and the evidence presented of your infidelity, you have no claim to any of the assets you've liquidated or the property you sold. Furthermore, the sale of the house without Mr. Paulo Morales' consent constitutes fraud, as there was no way that he signed it on the date of sale due to his illness. You are ordered to return all funds from the sale of the property and from the joint accounts."
This is ridiculous. Paulo and I had an understanding. He knew our marriage was over.
"That's not what the evidence shows, Mrs. Morales. The court's ruling stands." Brandy turned to Carter, her face pleading, but his expression had changed. He was looking at her like she was a stranger, or worse, a liability. I took the money the court ordered Brandy to return and invested most of it. With some, I bought a smaller but nicer house in a quiet neighborhood. I also pressed charges against Brandy for the fraudulent sale of my property. Brandy and Carter disappeared for a few weeks after the court ruling. Then Miguel called me with news. "Paulo, have you heard? Brandy's in the hospital. Apparently, she and Carter had a fight when they were trying to flee town. He beat her badly. She's in a coma. What about him?" Police caught him trying to cross the border. He had all of Brandy's jewelry with him, and her car too, and some drugs in his car. I should have felt something. Pity, perhaps, or satisfaction. Instead, I felt nothing. 20 years of emotional abuse had left me numb to Brandy's fate. I knew she would face arrest the moment she woke up, and somehow, that seemed like poetic justice. My life continued. The weeks in a coma had left me much thinner, and I found I enjoyed maintaining my new physique. I joined a gym, started hiking on weekends, cooked healthy meals for myself. For the first time in decades, I felt good in my own skin. Then, 6 months after the divorce, I met Elaine at a community garden event. She was my age, with laugh lines around her eyes and a genuine warmth that reminded me what attraction should feel like. We've been dating for 8 months now. Elaine appreciates the things about me that Brandy despised: my contentment with a simple life, my careful approach to finances, my quiet nature. When I cook her a healthy meal, she thanks me instead of mocking me. When we spend evenings at my modest home, she calls it cozy and perfect. Brandy eventually woke from her coma and, as expected, was arrested. Police also searched her house and found drugs. Apparently Carter was linked to a gang in that area. I didn't attend her trial, didn't send her letters, didn't think about her much at all. The woman who had controlled and criticized me for 2 decades had become irrelevant to my life. Sometimes when Elaine and I are sitting on my back porch, watching the sunset with a glass of wine, I think about the strange path that led me here. A near-death experience, a betrayal, a forgotten document, all converging to set me free. The price of that freedom was high, 20 years of my life. But as I reach for Elaine's hand and feel her warm fingers intertwine with mine, I know it was worth every penny. Thanks for watching.